Welcome to the More Smarter Show with Dylan and Jake. We talked about our little backgrounds in getting into real estate.
Yep, and then more specifically, we're both real estate agents, so we spoke about how we can work smarter and not harder in that field.
Yes, and lastly, we talked about how we go from level 0 of not knowing how to schedule anything to level 3 or 4 or 5 and how to time block your life and be a more efficient person.
This is our first time recording here, the More Smarter Show with professional equipment. You have equipment that you brought to my house the first 13 episodes, which we will call what?
The
preseason
preliminary
exhibition or something?
Yeah.
Brutal equipment, which is still there. For some
Yeah.
reason, you don't take it home with you either. It's upstairs in my house.
Yeah, you're keeping them.
But anyway, we are here now with, thanks to Foundation Title, who's sponsoring here, and an awesome setup to talk the More Smarter Show, episode 1, new version.
New version, yes. In the better studio, thanks to Foundation Title, yes. And I guess now we're finally here talking. We're working more smarter too, just within the podcast itself.
Wow.
Because we were working really silly with me setting everything up and me kind of doing all of this, not really knowing what I'm doing, and the production was terrible.
And then I had to either make or buy you dinner every time after we record at my house.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not on the
you did
hook
buy
anymore
quite
for
a
that.
few pizzas. Yeah, true. But so I mean, now we're in a professional studio and we're talking just about being more smarter.
So what is the More Smarter Show?
The More Smarter Show is how to work more efficiently within your business and in general your life. And the best way to kind of go about that is, obviously that's mainly for self-employed people or entrepreneurs, not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Not the same thing. But it's being a smart person when it comes to planning your days out and being efficient with that. And with obviously us, we're in real estate, but it goes for business and investing in general.
Sure. So this is so we try to have this being a business-oriented show. And for background, Dylan is 10 years younger than me. So I think it's really cool for our audience to hear different experiences as well, different stages and chapters of our lives and our business careers. Neither of us ever majored in business or... I mean, you didn't even go to college, or you went there, but you didn't finish college.
Yeah.
I'm a former teacher, so like you're talking about two people who have no business experience before having business experience, right?
Yeah, true.
So this is really from straight up experience, and we're probably gonna look back at some of the things we say and think we're such idiots for thinking that in our past.
And I hope that happens.
I hope that happens too,
because that means we're evolving. And it going back to like both of our past too. For me, I was a college dropout. I went to school for a year, played baseball, figured that wasn't the path for me. And the reason why I figured that out was because when I was a freshman, I was playing shortstop, but I was sharing time with a senior.
Okay.
Playing time. And that senior was eating at the same dining hall as me every single night, was living 2 doors down from me in the same dorm building.
Okay.
And I was like, is this going to be my life in 4 years? And I was like, this can't be my path. So I dropped out, and thankfully my parents are also in real estate, and my dad's a general contractor, so I learned kind of the construction side of real estate. But he got me in, and he said, this is going to lead me to the financial freedom life that I want to. And I'm seeing it now kind of evolve. I've learned so much in the past 2.5 years.
So you're only in it for like 2+ years.
Yeah. It's only been about 2
So
and a half.
that freshman dining hall experience was like 3 years ago?
Yeah. It's 2022 was that experience. So then I dropped out and I went into a little transition phase because it was really, really hard, because my whole entire life was going from playing baseball and being good at school and being good at both of those things, and all of the other stuff. Like I had my own podcast at that point.
Oh yeah.
And
you interviewed me. I forgot.
Yeah. But I was doing a bunch of different stuff like that, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And because I lost my sense of purpose almost. When I dropped out of school, stopped playing baseball, I didn't know what to do. And I kind of refound myself in real estate. That's why I'm so passionate
When you
about
met
it.
me.
When
But
I-
we'll go back to that
That's
another
true.
time. But that's a good backstory for you.
Yeah.
I'll go into mine a little bit. I am a decade older than you, so I'm more experienced in things. I graduated college.
Wow.
Although you were in elementary school, but I did graduate college. And I went right into teaching, which was my degree as well. I taught in Baltimore for 4 years, and then I taught in New Jersey for 4 years, all while also coaching high school baseball, high school basketball, refereeing basketball, sort of going that route with my extra time after school and in the summers. And then when COVID happened, I decided to get my real estate license. I was still teaching, but it was virtual in that March of 2020. And I decided to get my real estate license, and that really opened up a lot of things for me. It wasn't just the license itself. Anyone can get the real estate license. It's not hard, which is why I wanted to do it. But then I started listening to real estate podcasts and reading real estate books. And then those thoughts about being a real estate agent quickly turned into being a real estate investor. And now that's sort of my core. And just like the principles you get taught through real estate investing is more why I'm here than I think any other reason. I've been able to work more smarter through that. And since then, I've actually left teaching in 2023, which is now 2 years ago. And I'm a full-time real estate professional. I do more things within real estate that we'll get into as well.
Yeah. I think it's great because anyone can really get started in that sort of stuff, and it's more about putting yourself out there to go to the meetups and learn more about real estate, listen to podcasts like this or Bigger Pockets, and like all these these
like this and Bigger Pockets.
good comparison, right? Yeah, but if you listen to those people talking, and like all they talk about is how you can be using your kind of day job, whatever it is, whether it's being a realtor like we both are, or a cop or whatever, and stacking money to then put towards an asset that's going to be paying you back. And obviously in this case it's real estate. And that's something that we're both full time in. So to kind of go into our first topic, when you look at real estate investing, how do you see that you have an advantage above other people being full-time in the industry as a realtor?
Well, let's separate being a realtor and being a real estate investor for the sake of episode 1 of More Smarter Show, because those two things, like, you can be a full-time real estate agent or even a full-time real estate investor and not work smarter. So within having those careers and passions, we work smart, right? And that's what we strive to do.
Yep.
So, yeah, your question, being a full-time real estate professional allows me to have some unfair advantages when I'm looking to real estate invest, absolutely, which I think is also working smarter, right? Because I don't have to be teaching kickball in third period anymore, right? So now what I'm doing with my full-time connects with where my goals are with my career. So yeah, I mean, actually, I actually just bought a home a couple months ago, and my closing was here in this seat, that foundation title. Which and we can talk about that specific home another time. But for you, I mean, you're really sort of planting seeds in your career, and which is also real estate. But how are you working smart versus working hard? Now, I mean, you're only a few years in, but how do you think that's been going?
Yeah, so only 2 years in to the industry, and the industry being a real estate agent, I do like the idea of separating the real estate agent from being a real estate investor. Two different things, obviously. I'm not a real estate investor yet. I do think I know about 99% about being a real estate investor, just haven't done it yet, and I feel like a lot of people are there. So maybe that watching it in real time of the progression of that is going to be a really big thing for a lot of people.
And your dad is a real estate investor,
Yeah.
right?
So my dad's a real estate investor, so I've been a part of it kind of like my whole life. And for me, let's go to my day job of being a realtor.
Okay.
And the way that I kind of evolved more recently was been in the business for 2 years. I started off as like a part-time agent. first like 6 months.
What else were you doing?
I was doing construction. I was
Just trying to like make some
I
money,
was
figure
trying to
some
make
stuff
some
out.
money, trying to figure it out. I was
Yeah.
dropped out of college. I was like 20. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to kind of figure life out. And in that time, I met some amazing people in real estate, one being you. And and then I ended up finding my way after 6 months onto a real estate team that kind of pushed me to be the full-time realtor that I am now.
So you got your real estate license when you were 20, you said?
Yeah, 20.
Okay. And when you got your real estate license, just getting started, on a scale of 1 to working smart, where were you?
1, 0,
Oh, yeah.
-10.
But I think that's okay, right?
I
mean,
I didn't know what I was doing. I was like,
and that's part of working hard. Right?
exactly.
You gotta-
You got to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too with that was I got like my main focus during that time was like, how do I just pass this exam?
Oh yeah.
Like I failed the exam like
How
3
many
times, 3, 4 times.
I failed 3 times.
Yeah. And I was like, how do I even pass this exam? And that was my main focus. And then once I got past it, I remember even saying to people, I was like, all I need to do is just pass the exam, and then I'll be set. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. It's just like that was my biggest worry. And now that and then once I passed it, I was like, okay, now it's the actual hard part of being being a realtor.
I think your experience, because you're 22,
Yeah.
is more enticing to hear about than my experience, honestly.
Yeah.
So, and I don't really remember my beginning stages as a realtor as much as you might.
Uh-huh.
So talk about that, please. Like talk about like month 1 through 6.
Yeah. So I went and got my license. And the first thing I did was actually, this is a challenge that you put me up to. I don't know if you remember this, but what we did was I had to call 15 people that I knew that are like family, friends, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, been a long time, no talk. How you doing? But also, I just got my real estate license. And if you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell, be happy to help out. I know nothing, but maybe in the future I could just plant a seed in your mind that I'm working in the business.
So you saw the bigger picture by having those calls, and if you spoke like that to them, you're like, hey, I know in the next year I'm not making money from this conversation.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
in 5 years, I'll be only in my mid-20s and have 5 years experience, and I'm your guy.
Exactly. And that's something that I'm super grateful for, because you look into people, or you look into the basics of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very popular business book, and it says that one of the core topic is the rich don't work for money. And that's something that I think really was massively important, because when I was working construction with my dad, it's like I'm not showing up to the job site unless I know I'm making that $25 an hour to swing a hammer and tell a bunch of people where to go, being the foreman. So for me, that was the only reason why I got up, and I worked for money. I wouldn't go to the job site if I wasn't getting paid. Now it kind of changed my whole mindset, where you and I aren't getting paid from this. No one in this room is getting paid from this per se, but we are doing this because we love it. And also the same thing in real estate, where it's like, if you just do a good job at what you're doing and you know your stuff and you're not a pushy salesperson, then you're going to be successful in the future.
Right.
And I'm so happy that I kind of learned that right away.
Yeah. So being a real estate agent is different, because we don't clock in and clock out. We don't have paid time off. We get, we have busy vacations, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
We try not to have busy vacations. That's also
the point of working smarter. Yeah.
But my point is, there's nothing that teaches you that.
No.
Except experience.
Except doing it. Yeah.
And, in the beginning, I think we're probably both this way. In the beginning of our real estate agent careers, is you just want your phone to ring. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll do anything to have your phone ring. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as that you answer and someone wants to see something or talk to you, you're driving there before you hang up the phone, right? And
until they text you when you're 10 minutes out and say, "Oh, actually, never mind,
wrong number." But that's something that I think all new real estate agents deal with.
Aspire. That's the goal. It's like people want to be busy realtors.
And that's the what we believe
the
is
mantra.
the wrong goal.
We believe, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the goal for every single beginner.
Yeah, and you have to go through that.
You
I
have
think,
to.
right? You have to. I think starting there is not. It's obviously it's not a bad thing.
Exactly. So kind of keeping on that time frame for that first 6 months, that's kind of what I was doing, is playing the long game, and I was hoping for that. And then after the 6 months, I joined a team that was really pushing me to be that full-time agent that they thought I could be. And, it kind of worked out. I was that team member for 14, 15 months, and I was that busy person. I was working 60 plus hours a week. I was constantly driving around. I was going to showings, doing whatever. And, I got a lot of experience doing that. And I closed, 12 deals my first year, which was great.
Damn.
But again, because it was on a team, don't make much money from that.
So hold on. So a real estate team. So that's different than a brokerage, right?
Different than a brokerage.
Yeah.
So for someone who doesn't really know much about the
just
realtor
quickly,
industry,
yeah.
a broker is what you need to be under in order to sell real estate in any state.
Okay.
Because they have the licensing through the state and all of that to be able to do that. And then a team is just someone underneath the brokerage that facilitates transactions almost. They give you leads, they give you support.
So it's more support, essentially.
It's more support and
if
leads
you're-
that they
so
that
it's
they
team
give.
or solo agent.
Yes,
It's really the two types
are
of
the
agent.
two options. But
Yeah.
you have to be under a broker either way.
Gotcha.
We're both brokered at EXP. But what for me, what I did was when I was on that team, they gave me leads and they gave me a lot of support and training. And that was something that
For when you're starting, it sounds great.
it's it's massive. I wouldn't be anywhere of where I am if I didn't go that route.
Right.
But you and I are big into talking about leveling up and levels. And let's say that's 1 to 6 month was level 0.
Okay.
And going to the team is level 1.
Okay.
And then what does level 2 look like from there? So I ended up leaving this said team about a month and a half ago. And I like to say that I might have even gone to level 3 at this point. I think I skipped level 2. Level 2 is leaving the team.
Gotcha.
And now level 3 is being off on solo and working smarter.
Awesome. So that's your example of working smarter, and it sounds like you're still figuring it out. I mean, that was a month ago.
Yeah, so that was a month ago. Yeah, so I still am figuring out. But what that jump kind of means of like working smarter is now I no longer. I want to talk about the team in good light because they were nothing but great to me. But I'm no longer pushed to be that busy realtor. And I say that in air quotes because that's what everyone wants to be, this busy realtor. But that doesn't mean that you're actually working more smarter.
Yeah.
Like you're not working smarter if you're that busy realtor all the time, answering phone calls, going on showings. There's a better way of going about it. And that's kind of, maybe you could step in and talk more about that.
Yeah, and I think because I'm also a real estate agent, and I think my beginning stages aren't as relevant to this, but more so what I've taken on probably like a year now. I think last year I really started this new mindset of working smarter as a real estate agent in particular. Do you know anyone who like approaches it the same way as me?
Very few.
I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And okay, so here's kind of what I do, right? If there's a buyer, let's use buyers as an example. I really try to do as much research, and this is me communicating to you as a buyer, okay? Buyer, I'm really going to do as much research with you and for you as possible, pre-research, before we ever see properties. Because I think it's extremely important that you don't get fatigued through this process. So a lot of times in real estate, buyers want to just, send the realtor a house and say, hey, I'm available Thursday at 3, let's see it. And most realtors say, okay. But I don't say okay. And I actually don't even, that's not how our dialogue goes. Our dialogue is, you can send me that link of a Zillow link or whatever, we want to see the property. But now it's in my court to do the pre-research. I have the listing agent's contact. I can call that person. I can preview the seller's disclosure. I can look at the MLS sheet and see the HOA fees and taxes and any other things that the common person at work, you buyer, you're not looking into that stuff.
No.
So we have access to all this information. Let's utilize it before we get in our cars.
And the reason why you say that is because going to showings and getting in our cars is the most time-consuming thing. Now, that's hard for me getting out of work, having kids to go attend to, doing whatever. that's hard for me to get out to, especially if I'm going to go and see that there's a cemetery in the backyard. I know I don't want to
something
live.
we could determine on Google Maps.
On Google Maps,
on
yes.
Google Street View, right? On Google Images, you can see someone who died there. Like what I swear I do all these things. And I'm like, here are, it's a lot of work for me, but it's different work than driving, right? I hate, again, like you, the busy buyer who has to rush home from work, barely eat dinner, have to put your kid to a babysitter, and now you just don't like a house, or even worse, you love the house, but there's a septic and you really want public sewer instead of septic. That's something we should be eliminating way before seeing the property.
Yeah.
And the comment I like to use is we should have a 100% like rate. We should like every single property we see. Doesn't mean we have to love it, doesn't mean we have to offer on it, but if we don't like something, we have to fix our pre-game strategy.
Yeah. So now looking at it from the other lens, the traditional route, and the reason why a lot of these busy realtors either feel burnt out or they're not really being efficient with their work, is they're running around, showing houses, doing all this sort of stuff that isn't ending up into closing more deals. And that's obviously not, like, that's a great thing to do, is close deals, but building that longer business and the retention business of referral-based business is what's more important. So if you're just that realtor that's always available, that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing. It's not. You're not a good business person necessarily, and you're not really showing your value. Your value is opening the door and having gas in your tank. That's not, like, anyone could do that.
Exactly.
When people say everyone's and their mom has the real estate license, it's true.
That's
but
why.
They think that that's why. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
But to add value is a separate conversation.
Okay, so if we're gonna say that what you just said, all going through all those details for a buyer is definitely adding value, what else is something that a working smarter realtor do to add value to their clients?
Like, let's say a buyer, I guess, still?
Yeah, keep going, buyers.
Yeah. Well, I think I think I heard this quote on a Netflix show, I think. I can't remember it, and I just know I didn't come up with this quote. And it was like, in the world of artificial intelligence, emotional intelligence is going to win. Something like that. Like, it's so important to have emotional intelligence. And I love that quote because it's so true. Like, being a realtor, like, you should know the answers to questions that aren't asked yet. Buyer, I know your next question. Here's the answer. That's value, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is. It is value. And it's just, it's knowing your client.
It's knowing, because of that first conversation you had. It's not just, hey, I have my real estate license, let's meet at the first house and then figure it out. But it's the first consultation was a lot more in-depth than that. Yeah,
yeah. And knowing the process, obviously, too. Like,
for sure.
If you go and say that same buyer has an aunt that is a school teacher and also has their real estate license that closes one deal a year, they're not going to know how to navigate a transaction nearly like we are. So that's obviously something to look into too. Now, when you were a teacher and also a realtor, how did that must have worked against you?
No, that literally taught me how to work smarter. Now, I didn't fully implement things that I do today, but that was my stepping stone there because I had to figure out, what times of day do I have access to my phone? I taught, like 6 periods a day. Can't really be on my phone or email it during those times. And okay, like, what's your schedule? Now I have a specific schedule. It had me zoom out, actually. I think it was actually a help to work smarter.
But yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, you have less hours. That reminds me, I watched The Pursuit of Happiness recently, and he was like, Chris Gardner, concept of the show is stockbroker, and the traditional stockbroker hours is 9 hours a day, but he had to go pick up his kid and travel a lot, so he only had 6 hours. So he was like, how do I eliminate all of these things that are time wasters where I could just work smarter? And he was like, I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to drink water. I'm not going to hang up the phone. I'm not going to do hang up the phone and then redial everything. He's like, I'm going to do it this certain way. Now, obviously, those are basic things.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at from the macro, you can dive deeper into what those specific details are for your business.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you're using that just as an example, but I think our working smarter is like to use the bathroom whenever we want, to drink as much water as we want, to have the freedom to do things that we want, not being told what to do.
Yes. Yeah, true, exactly. So when you go about your day, I feel like a big thing for self-employed people and entrepreneurs, they struggle with, or at least this is a struggle for me within that first 6-month period, is what does that day look like? Now let's specify into the realtor kind of lens here. What does like a high effective day look like?
I have no idea because I'm not a top producing realtor and I don't want to be either. But I can answer how my day looks like.
Okay.
Well, the same reason when we were just talking about when we should record the next podcast, and what was my response?
I don't remember.
Thanks. It was like, I need a week notice. Like need as long as it's on the schedule in advance, we can figure it out. And I think that sort of speaks to this answer. Like I don't want to react like a fire drill for things I'm doing. I don't want things to pop up. And back to my conversation when I am a real estate agent with the buyers, it's like, hey, when you see this place, we're not going to see it today. I mean, when you send me this place, we're not going to see it today. Probably not going to see it tomorrow because I got some pre-research to do. We'll see it when it makes sense. And that, again, not working like a fire drill, not being reactive to my schedule, which in turn is my brain.
Yeah. So obviously, is that more about principle or you actually have stuff going on?
Well, I'm never really doing nothing. Is that what I mean? It's
well, yeah. So then what's actually filling the day?
It's not really things that are previously scheduled.
Okay.
Like this has been on the schedule for how long?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
It's not really principle, but it's all intentional. It's kind of the way I choose for my life to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, then what I'm asking then is what are the intentional things that you do add to your calendar that move you in the right direction? Whether that is through, obviously we have multiple layers of you where you have a property management company, you're an investor, you're a realtor. Mm-hmm. So what takes priority in scheduling a day then?
Nothing. It's not like something takes priority, but I'm I hope this answers your question. Like I'm never late, and I know I was kind of late today, but like kind of. At least I gave heads up, right?
Yeah,
but
true.
I'm never late. I'm always showing up to my appointments. I'm always like, if the other person is late to an appointment, they're kind of dead to me. Like I am schedule oriented in that way, and it's because my time is extremely important to me, and time blocking.
Okay.
So what takes priority? It's not like there's just an answer to that. It's just, as you know, when you have a lot of things going on, you do have to time block for inbound that you don't know exists yet, right? If you have a listing, which I have now, I could get 3 calls on that. I can get 3 offers on that. I can get none of the above, right?
Yeah.
You okay?
Dude, can I grab a water real quick?
No. We're recording. You can't grab a water.
Dude, I've had this terrible call.
Chris Gardner didn't grab a water.
He didn't grab a water. You were mainly just saying what is the important things that you do on a daily basis that are like take priority over other things, and scheduling that out in advance and not letting being the master of your own schedule.
Yes, and again, having time. I don't want to say I time block like I put something on the calendar for inbound things, but I know that if I have a 12 o'clock and a 4 o'clock, and those are 4 hours apart, but I know I'm not doing nothing that in between.
Yeah.
Like I know it's still a really busy day because of the amount of things I'm involved with. There's inbound all the time.
Yeah. And to put it in perspective, the busy realtor doesn't have that in their mind, I think.
Yeah.
At least the inbound stuff are able to divert them from other things. Like it's like, all right, yeah, I have a meeting at 4, but yeah, I could be available for showing at 6.
That's why like when people are late to my meetings and I'm like, and their excuses are like, oh, someone just called or something. I'm like, yeah, they call me all day, but
Yeah.
My phone's in right now when we're recording. My phone's in do not disturb.
Yeah,
I'll do it later.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because it's exactly. It's like the Mike Tyson quote where it's if someone is the master of your emotion, like if someone can control your emotions, they're your master, and if someone can control your schedule, they're your master. And that's something that he said that. Yeah, he did say that.
That's really
so
enlightening.
Yeah. But that was something that was on the team of like being a busy realtor was if I had a day scheduled where it's like I'm making my outbound calls in the morning and I had lunch and then I had a workout planned and then I had a showing.
Mm-hmm.
If I got a inbound call at 1 p.m. that wanted to go see a place at 7 p.m. that night, I would be expected to do that.
Right.
And that limits your ability to think bigger about your own life. And it kind of like that, and that's how I felt. So that's why I
there becomes less philosophy behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it was a 5% conversion rate. Looking at the numbers, like for that specific team, 5% conversion rate. So meaning, out of 100 of those houses that I would go show, I would only be able to close 5 of those people.
And that would be positive.
Yeah,
like
that's a positive thing. Even if I close 7, that's like, oh my gosh, this guy's great.
Yeah.
But think about the 93 other houses that I went to go see. It's just a waste of my time.
Well, it's the difference between a business and a job, right?
Exactly.
That sounds like a job. You put enough reps in, you'll make the money.
Yes.
The business thinks differently.
A glorified employee. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's wrap this up for this episode. Maybe we'll talk about the favorite and the fool next episode.
Yes.
I think
Love
that was
it.
leading towards that. So thank you to Foundation Title for sponsoring this first episode of the new edition, but like we'll come up with some cooler thing to say about it. But this looks great and I appreciate it. Great episode.
Yes.
And I'll see you next time.
See you.